Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name's Gwen Jacobsen, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 12, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. This week's Neepawa banner and press is dated Friday, November the 27th, 2020. Salvation Army Kettle Campaign suspended. The annual kettle campaign for the Neepawa Community Ministries Center, or NCMC, Neepawa's branch of the Salvation Army, has put on hold due to the Code Red COVID-19 restrictions. Community Ministries Director Amanda Nightingale explained that because of the health orders to go out only for essential reasons, having the bell ringers out in public just was not feasible or responsible. People will not be seeing us out and about the community. They will, however, be seeing our coin boxes, hopefully at local businesses, so we will be delivering those around town this week. Nightingale added that they have also launched an online campaign, the link for which can be found on the Neepawa Salvation Army social media pages. The online donations through Neepawa's virtual kettle go directly to NCMC for the local Christmas hamper program. With the closure of the thrift store and with us not being able to fundraise in person, we're quite concerned that there might be a significant shortfall this year. Our kettle campaign typically raises about $6,500, and that would go directly to cover off the costs of Christmas. And if there's anything else left over, it would go into our family services and supporting our food bank and other community services that we provide. She added that while fundraising has been limited this year, they were able to receive 2 grants from the Emergency Community Support Fund grant through the Beautiful Plains Community Foundation, which have been able to help them with keeping the food bank full. And it goes on to say, if Code Red restrictions are lifted later in December, Nightingale noted that they may be looking at ways to get the kettles out in the community in a contactless way. We're still waiting to hear some more information, so if people see things with the Salvation Army shield on it, we hope that people will be generous enough to make those donations when they see them. Not only will the fundraising for the community hampers look different, the hampers themselves will be a little different as well. We are not doing a typical hamper. We are only giving out a gift card for food this year, just because now that we're into Code Red, putting people together to pack hampers and handle food and to deliver, we just didn't feel that that was our safest option for everybody involved. Gift cards actually gives a lot more autonomy to families. They can choose where they're getting the gift cards from. They can choose what they're spending those gift cards on and what kind of traditions. Not everybody has the typical traditional turkey meal, so this really gives them a lot more of a Christmas of their own. And we're just there to support them in doing that. While the gift cards will cover food for the families receiving hampers, Nightingale mentioned that they also plan to pick some toys to include with the hampers for families with children. We're hoping that we can put some orders together and that I'm sure our local businesses will help support getting those to the curbside for us. The number of families requesting hampers is estimated to be higher, just to add to this year's challenges. Right now I'm seeing a lot more different names than I have in the past. My suspicion is that we will have a lot more people than we did last year. Last year we did about 130 hampers just in the Neepawa area, but we're anticipating that there might be a 30 to 40% increase this year. She noted that The increase could be related to the impact of COVID-19. There's a lot of financial insecurity out there for folks, and we realize that, and we will be able to help regardless of what our fundraising efforts this year looks like. We will be able to meet all the needs that are out there. So if people are still in need, they can give us a call at the store. NCMC can be reached by phone at 204-476-5869. NCMC's virtual kettle can be found by going to fillthekettle.com and searching Neepawa Community Ministries Center, scanning the QR code on this page, or finding the link on Neepawa Salvation Army social media. COVID-19 update. The Manitoba government has provided an update on ongoing enforcement efforts to protect citizens from the spread of COVID-19. In total, 79 warnings and 95 tickets were issued last week between November 16th and the 22nd, a significant increase from the week prior, when 54 warnings and 30 tickets were issued. This includes 9 $5,000 tickets to business and 55 $1,296 tickets to individuals. 3 banned bylaw tickets were also issued by the Manitoba First Nations Police Service. Last week, a specific fine of $298 was put in place for not wearing a mask in indoor public places, as required under current public health orders. Since that time, 28 tickets have been issued for the offense. A total of $126,082 in fines were issued last week, up from $49,992 the week prior. The province has also provided an update on enforcement related to a large demonstration held in Steinbach on November the 14th. To date, 16 tickets have been sworn, and more are expected to receive tickets as the investigation continues. One person who attended a subsequent event at the Legislative Building in Winnipeg on November 21st was identified and served with the ticket for their participation in the earlier event. Enforcement officials are also investigating a large gathering for a church service in Steinbach that occurred over the weekend. One individual received a $1,296 ticket, and more tickets for other participants are expected as the investigation continues. Since enforcement efforts began in April, a total of 388 warnings and 307 tickets have been issued, resulting in more than $390,000 in fines to businesses and individuals. Almost 3,300 personnel across various agencies are empowered to enforce public health orders to protect Manitobans. This includes the RCMP, law enforcement agencies, provincial employees, and municipal partners such as the City of Winnipeg. The number of personnel who are trained in actively enforcing public health orders continues to grow. Current public health orders restrict gatherings and limit group sizes, set out the distance individuals are required to observe from another, and require businesses to ensure their customers are able to maintain the required separation. Manitobans can report compliance and enforcement issues by calling 204-945-3744 or a toll-free number 1-866-626-4862 and pressing option 3 on the call menu. Over the course of a recent 7-day period from Thursday, November 19th to the 25th, there have been 127 new COVID-19 cases reported within the Prairie Mountain Health Region. The total cases in the area are 973, with 667 of those recovered and 296 currently active. Last week, there were 118 new cases reported over the course of 7 days. Within Prairie Mountain, Brandon has the most active cases as of Wednesday, November the 25th, at 132. White Mud, meanwhile, which encompasses Neepawa and surrounding communities, has an active count of 24. The Winnipeg region currently has the most active cases with 6,294, while Southern Health Santé Sioux is second with 1,174. Conflicting customer responses to new retail rules around Neepawa. Most customers around Neepawa have quickly adapted to the newer, tougher sales restrictions at businesses due to COVID-19. Most, but definitely not all. On Friday, November 20th, Manitoba embarked upon the toughest retail lockdown rules in all of Canada, with the new health orders prohibiting businesses from selling non-essential items in the store. The businesses were also required to either remove non-essential goods from shelves or rope or tarp them off. Curbside pickup of non-essentials is still allowed. The reasoning for the decision is due to the continuing increase in the active count of COVID-19. Another factor was larger retailers flouting the spirit of the Code Red pandemic restrictions by selling only a few essential items, but many non-essential products. Although Neepawa doesn't have a Walmart or Costco, where the changes would be very obvious, there are still noticeable local alterations to be seen. At the Safeway, the flower department has been completely shut down and draped with plastic. For the local Giant Tiger and Red Apple stores, the clothing sections are currently inaccessible. A retail salesperson at a Neepawa business spoke with the banner and press on what's been happening on the floor as of late. They wished not to identify themselves or the specific store in question publicly, however, as to not embarrass the store or customers in question. The individual said that most customers understood that the new rules were provincially mandated and that there was nothing the salespeople could do to change it. Unfortunately, there have been a few times when customers in Neepawa have taken their frustrations out on the wrong person. It's happened a few times. I've seen customers reaching into the non-essential sections and grabbing items and then expecting us to ring them through. We have to explain to them that we just can't do that and that it's a government mandated decision. The customers still want to take it out on somebody though. We've had people yelling at young people working the tills as if it was them that made any of these decisions. It's not their fault we're going through this, stated the salesperson. The individual did stress that the majority of people are understanding, but it's those few negative reactions that unfortunately stick with them at the end of the day. The Banner and Press has contacted the head offices of several local stores for comment. A response has not been received before the publication deadline. The sales restrictions will remain in effect until at least December the 11th. The Langford Trails had a record 576 hikers/bikers sign in during the spring, summer, and fall, many of whom commented on the beauty and well-maintained trails. In this year of COVID-19, there were some who indicated their appreciation of being able to enjoy the peace and tranquility of the area. Of the 576 people, there were 297 from Neepawa, Dauphin, and the Westman area. There were 83 people from Winnipeg and area, 5 from Saskatchewan, as well as 2 from Nunavut, and 2 from Germany. Quite a variety. Although not everyone signs the register, we have been pleased with the comments of those that do sign. The Langford recreational trails are shown on the All Trails app, which many hikers use, and this contributes to the variety of users. A big thank you to Muriel Gami for her foresight and contribution for providing this asset to the area. This is a picture of a huge puffball mushroom that was found growing near the Great Trail by Lorraine Tarrant on November the 16th. It was initially thought to be a rock. However, once retrieved, it was indeed a puffball of huge proportions. This article is titled Roxy Theatre Memories. Do you remember waiting in line on a Saturday afternoon hoping to be near to the front to ensure a good seat selection? Checking out the posters on the east wall of the vestibule to find out what features would be at the Roxy in the coming month? or purchasing your ticket at the little window in the veranda. The tickets were on a roller over the head of the seller for ease of access, and cost of admission was only 15 cents. With a quarter, you had enough left over for popcorn. That was for the rich kids. The bright yellow and blue large tile floor in the concession area. Do you remember the smell of freshly popping popcorn? The candies and bars were on a tiered counter, except for the ice cream, which was in the stainless steel cooler under the stair. The two entrances into the theater, the huge movie poster board in the area between those two doorways. Usually one of the ushers was standing in that area until the show began. Do you remember the stairways to the balcony? Do you remember the unique restroom area, the huge yellow and blue tile with walls painted to match? The women had to go downstairs to their restroom. The men had to go up 2 short flights of stairs to theirs. The lounge area was complete with 2 blue leather sofa-sized seats and a big chair in the middle. There was, of course, the large sand-filled ashtray for the smokers. Speaking of which, smoking in the theater was only okay if Mr. Kostenchuk didn't catch you. Do you remember the large stage in the theater where the screen was located? The stage, a relic of the opera house that the theater once was. The usherettes and Mr. Kostenchuk would somehow magically appear from behind the curtains. If there was a raffle, which there often was on a Saturday, it was held on the stage. The usherettes would walk the aisles during intermission, to sell popcorn and ice cream. Where to sit? Downstairs. A favorite location was in the seats at the very back on the east side. It was easier to hide from the usherettes and Mr. Kostenchuk there because the lighting was very dim. In the balcony, seats along the staircase or along the front of the balcony were desirable. The better to drop stuff on those coming up the stairs on those, or those sitting below the long balcony front. Smoking was easier in the balcony because for some reason it seems the staff visited there less frequently than the main level. And it goes on to say, the movie tone newsreel gave us the news of the world, and often a short entertaining anecdote about some animal or natural feature. Do you remember the series that would draw patrons to return week after week to avoid missing any episode in the series? Do you remember Saturday had 2 matinee showings and 1 or 2 evening showings? Of course, the Lord's Day Act prohibited any showings on a Sunday. Sundays were a whole other story. The uniforms. Do you remember the uniforms worn by the usherettes? Those long bell-bottom pants and the white tops with those long string ties? I believe the manager's daughters were among the girls that worked to show us to our seats, and during the movie to flick on their long flashlights to give us notice that we needed to be quiet. Do you remember how packed the theater was on Saturday for both afternoon showings? Do you remember hiding in the theater during the turnover of audiences? Do you remember coming out of the dark theater to be struck with brilliant hot sunshine? Do you remember the decorative wall sconces that were large and brightly covered? The squeaky floor, I can still hear it. When the Ladies' Hospital Guild, do you remember they held the annual Hope Chest Draw? The draw was made on the stage of the Roxy Theater. That was a big event in town, and people spoke about the draw for days after it was held. A great place to spend part of Saturday. Shh, the movie's starting. Okay. Now, Helen Drysdale's article is called Park Prisoners. The last 2 weeks I have talked about the Canadian contributions to help in World War II. This week I will talk about another, lesser known aspect of their help, the internment of German prisoners of war, or POWs, on Canadian soil. Over 35,000 enemy soldiers spent time behind Canadian barbed wire or employed in almost 300 low-security labor camps across the country. Winnipeg, wanting to save on fuel for the war effort, was short of firewood, and the woodcutters were away fighting or involved in other war efforts, so it was decided that POWs would be used to cut firewood. A site in the Riding Mountain National Park was chosen on the northeast shore of Whitewater Lake. The site was near a burn area with an estimated 2 million cords of fire-damaged trees to cut. In October 1943, 450 German prisoners arrived at the camp to begin work. The camp had bunkhouses, an administration building, recreation hall, a guardhouse, a kitchen, a mess hall, a barn, a garage, a small hospital, and a small power plant running water and a sewer system. Over 175 military and civilian personnel were hired to run the camp. These included an administrator, accountants, guards, clerks, instructors, mechanics, carpenters, and caretakers. Many of the guards were local veterans of World War I. The majority of the prisoners were from the Afrika Korps, having been captured in North Africa. Upon arrival to Canada, these men were placed in large barbed wire fenced internment camps. The men that came to the Whitewater camp were interviewed and deemed relatively safe, as this camp had no barbed wire fences or guard towers. It was believed that the dense forest wilderness surrounding the camp would be restraining enough for the POWs. The few men that caused problems were promptly sent back to barbed wire fences and guards. The prisoners wore a blue denim uniform with a red stripe on the outer leg and a large red circle on the back of the shirt and jacket. Even with that garb, the prisoners often escaped temporarily. They sometimes attended dances and visited in homes around the communities of Olha, Seach, and Crawford Park. By morning, they would be unlost and found their way back to camp before roll call. The prisoners earned 50 cents a day cutting trees and could spend money at the canteen or order items from the Eaton's catalog. In the summer, they caught fish in the lake and raised pigs in a small enclosure for variety in their meat. Groceries were purchased in Dauphin, and German cooks prepared their meals. One hobby at the camp was carving handicrafts from both wood and antlers, making replicas of battleships to scale and other elaborate models. The prisoners entertained themselves with a choir and an orchestra, put on concerts, and played numerous sports. Not all people were happy to have the POWs so close and treated so well. Some were afraid of what could happen if they planned an escape or retaliation. They believed the freedom of the living arrangements at the camp were far too lenient, considering the prisoners were still the enemy. Many locals had lost family members overseas, and many still had sons fighting there. It was known that Canadian soldiers interned in Germany were facing far more severe treatment and living conditions. When the war had ended, the Whitewater prison camp was closed, and prisoners were transferred to larger camps. The buildings were sold to a Winnipeg contractor and removed in the spring of 1946. In 1946, after the war ended, the prisoners were sent back to their homeland. After the war, many of the German prisoners praised Canada and the treatment they received. Many later immigrated to Canada. The Friends of Riding Mountain run horse-drawn wagon enactment tours usually twice per summer. It is an amazing day filled with history, food, and fun. It was there I got my first taste of this traditional German roast called Sauerbraten. Hotel in Glenelg, fuming over being called out by Premier Pallister. The Corona Hotel in Glenelg has been hit with a fine under the Manitoba government's pandemic response system. Perhaps even worse than the fine could be the corresponding wave of negativity the business has to deal with, perhaps unjustifiably. During a press conference on Tuesday, November 24th, Premier Brian Pallister discussed the ongoing enforcement of current public health and emergency measure orders. He stated that November 16th and 22nd in total, between 95 tickets were issued to businesses and individuals who have not been following current guidelines. The combined amount from the fines has been assessed at over $125,000. During the press, Pallister did single out one particular business, the Corona Hotel, located 59 kilometers northeast of Neepawa. One of the tickets had to be issued to a hotel in western Manitoba that had its beverage room open and had people playing pool inside. That hotel was the Corona Hotel, which I have had a beer or two in my life, and it's a nice hotel, stated Pallister. Guys, don't do things like that. This is disheartening. All of us miss seeing our friends. We all miss taking part in recreational activities. Some of us even miss going for a beer once in a while, but now is not the time. Pallister added that existing rules are in place to protect people, but are only effective if everyone adheres to them. He said we must protect each other. Don't be the weakest link. The owners of the Corona Hotel, Bev and Bob Fugsling, responded to Pallister's comment via a letter which was made public on Tuesday afternoon. In the letter, they stated that the beverage room has in fact been locked up since November the 12th, and that the only person at the pool table was their 5-year-old grandson playing around. They added that the liquor inspector came one day and heard some noise, but did not enter the premise. The inspector came back the next day and issued the fine. The owners said that the story Pallister told at the press conference was wrong, and that they expect to receive an apology from the Premier when the facts come to light. Area hockey team raises funds for women's shelter. An area hockey team with several local players is making a difference for women in need. With the suspension of all sports during the Code Red restrictions, the Central Plains Female Capitals under 18 hockey team has turned its efforts to charity, collecting donations for the Portage Women's Shelter. Megan Beswithrick, Capitals goalie, assistant captain, and one of the fundraising organizers, explained that the team donates a charity every year around Christmas, but usually it's just the team pooling some funds together. This year, they've turned to the community for support as well. This year, since all the various lockdowns, domestic abuse has risen 20 to 30%. So we decided that it was very important to support the women's shelter in our community. The Capitals had been making plans for the fundraiser since the beginning of November before Code Red, but had to change their tactics from in-person to remote once the restriction came into effect. The main platform for their fundraising has been a GoFundMe campaign. However, the team members have also been taking donations by cash or check for those not comfortable with donating online. The money raised will benefit the Portage Women's Shelter in a couple different ways. We're probably going to take half of the money and go purchase items that the shelter has been requesting, and then the other half will give directly as money so that they can use it for food and housing. She noted that they've already raised more than they expected to. Our original goal was $1,000, and we passed that within the first 24 hours. That was very exciting. Our next goal is $2,500, and we've been slowly working our way up there. Obviously, it's not as fast as the initial first 24 hours, but yes, we're still hoping to get the support from the community for this great fundraiser. As of Wednesday, November 25th, the GoFundMe page has raised $1,415. The campaign will be open until November 30th and can be found at gofundme.com under the name Female Caps Give Back, Portage Women's Shelter. Renovated barns ready for winter at the bird sanctuary. The Neepawa Bird Sanctuary has had a challenging year, but the committee has still been hard at work throughout. While the pandemic has put a damper on fundraising plans such as their fall craft sale and the Park Lake Dam bursting on Canada Day wiped out the access road, the committee was still able to finish their planned renovations to the barn. The main thing that we wanted to get done this past summer was the barn renovations, said committee member Brenda Ferguson. So we got those started, I would say, around the end of April, when we were able to get all the birds out of the barn, and we were making decent progress on that until we had no road. For a while, they were able to bring supplies in with quads, accessing the park through some neighboring farmers' fields. We want to thank Jason McLaren and the Bray Brothers Farms for giving us access through their fields to get into the back way, because otherwise there is no way in. So we're very grateful for them. Ferguson added that the committee is very thankful for all the volunteers who helped them transport supplies by quad through the fields. Once the town of Neepawa had the temporary access road built, Ferguson noted that continuing the construction became easier. We're grateful for the town for getting the road in, because I'll tell you, the barn renovation would never have gotten completed if we didn't have the road back. We finally got it finished just towards the end of October, just in time for the cold weather, and the birds are now in the barn. It took about 400 volunteer hours to get the project completed. Most of those hours were put in by the Bird Sanctuary Committee themselves. The renovations included tearing out the walls on the inside, re-insulating, and putting up new wall coverings. They also had some electrical work done with more lighting, as well as upgraded plumbing to help with their in-floor heating. New pens were constructed and installed in the north portion of the barn as well. The total cost of the project came to $9,958. We want to say that we are so grateful, especially to the Beautiful Plains Community Foundation, because they donated $9,356 towards the project. That was the bulk of our funding. We did get $1,000 from NACI Youth Advisory Council as well. While the temporary road is meant to be to only be for bird sanctuary volunteers and those who live on the other side of the collapsed bridge, Ferguson noted that there have been a small number of visitors still coming to see the birds. We asked that people abide by what the town was requesting, but we can't enforce it. For the most part, I would say the visitors were out-of-towners who wouldn't know that the town that asked them not to use the road. She added that while people are asked not to drive on the temporary access road, they can still drive up to it, as there is a bit of parking space by the old bridge, and walk up to the park. While many of the birds are indoors now, the geese and ducks are still outside, along with their two very friendly goats. Ferguson added that if people do want to come and visit the bird sanctuary, they are encouraged to bring some treats, such as lettuce, for the birds to enjoy. Now that they've finished with the renovations, Ferguson noted the next project for the bird sanctuary will be their Name a Bird fundraiser. She noted that there will be posts on the Neepawa Bird Sanctuary Facebook page in the near future, as well as potentially a poster at the post office with pictures of the birds that need names and information on how to name one. If you're looking for unique gifts for Christmas, adopt a bird and name a bird after one of your family members. Another way to support the sanctuary is helping to feed the goats. Ferguson explained that normally the goats stay at a farm during the winter, but they're living at the sanctuary this year. So if anyone has a couple of hay bales to spare, they could donate or sell them at a reasonable price to the sanctuary to help feed the goats over the winter. Christmas cheer amidst a pandemic. The Neepawa Christmas dinner will have a very different format this year. Due to COVID-19 concerns and restrictions, the committee is unable to host a dinner in either a dine-in or takeout capacity. Instead, they will be making up a total of 100 fellowship bags. This idea was the final result of the committee's planning sessions, of which there were many as restrictions changed and changed again. We definitely tried to think of some different ways to bring people together. We thought about using a restaurant, through a restaurant giving takeout or delivery just in case they didn't feel safe coming to a restaurant, said Cheryl Beaumont, a chair for the Christmas dinner committee. We had many conversations with the public health inspector and within our committee, because even with our within our committee for us to be able to make a meal. It didn't make sense. Each of us are coming from different cohorts, different situations, and some of us are elderly. Beaumont added, we're also very conscientious about the money that is donated to our committee, and we didn't want to buy a lot of perishable foods or have our local businesses have all that extra food that they may not be able to sell, or we would be out all that money. So we're very conscientious of having a fluid plan so that people's time and money are being used the best that we can. Each fellowship bag will be made up by the committee in compliance with COVID-19 regulations. Though it won't contain the meal the committee would like to dish out, the bag will include items such as chocolates, a Christmas card, coupons, and a handmade ornament from the Neepawa Men's Shed. The bags will be made available to 100 people who sign up to receive them by contacting Jeannie Barnaby of Hand at 204-476-2009. While signing up for the bag, people may also opt in to receive a phone call on Christmas Day. Bags are expected to be delivered on November the 23rd, weather permitting. Delivery will be contactless to ensure the safety of both the recipients and the volunteers. The idea behind this initiative is to still be able to provide a sense of fellowship to those who may get lonely around Christmas time. We thought it would be a good way to be able to reach out to people and give them a little Christmas cheer, as well as some connection to the community, Beaumont enthused. Due to the nature of this year's event, the committee's expenses are much lower. Any who would normally make a financial donation to the Christmas Dinner Committee are asked to instead consider making a donation of some variety to the local Salvation Army. When I was talking to Amanda Nottingale, she let me know that they're looking for gift cards, monetary donations, so they can buy more food, more cards, and that they're still looking for things like new unwrapped toys. Money would be well spent investing in the local Salvation Army, since we personally don't need a whole lot of money right now. We do have $1,900 in our bank account, so we are able to cover our expenses. We also have a nest egg for next year's plan, which in 2021 will hopefully include a meal. Any volunteers who wish to lend a hand with delivery and for making phone calls are asked to contact Brian Elgert via phone at 204-476-2779. Due to the scaled down nature of this year's event, prospective volunteers should get in touch as soon as possible. We are looking for volunteers, but last year when we held a full event, we did not have to turn away some people because we are a part of a community that's so caring and giving. Because our job this year has gone from creating a lunch with all the trimmings, fixings, door prizes, decorations, and whatnot, to being so scaled back, we don't need as many people this year. We'll gladly take some volunteers. We just don't have a lot to do this year, unfortunately. Sharing her closing thoughts, Beaumont noted her gratefulness for the committee's flexibility and creativity, stating they did such a wonderful job. Every time we keep getting a roadblock, which seems every time we turn around, we have such a compassionate group that's willing to figure something out. We're advocates for people's mental health, and as much as Christmas is a wonderful time for people, some people struggle a lot because they're lonely. It's all about fellowship and connecting with people who may be lonely at this time. And here we have a picture of 3 fellows on a pond. While the indoor ice remains in lockdown, Mother Nature is helping to keep hockey alive across the prairies. Recently, Tarek Lapointe of the under-15 Yellowhead Chiefs and his brothers Kane, Neepawa under-13 team, and Kyson, Neepawa under-11 team, played a little bit of pond hockey on a patch of frozen ice named Some Point. Neepawa Men's Shed donates ornaments. The Neepawa area Men's Shed was busy making Christmas ornaments recently. The work was done in a socially distanced workshop, with each member diligently wearing their masks and as much as was possible at home. Though the format has changed significantly this year, the ornaments are being donated to the Neepawa Christmas Dinner Initiative. The ornaments will be included in the dinner committee's fellowship bags, so they can still spread cheer to those who may be lonely during the holidays. We wanted a project that could benefit the community, said Colin McNerney, Neepawa Men's Shed member. Brad Mummery suggested the ornaments, and having folks out at Country Meadows decorate them and donate them to the Christmas supper. McNerney added, I contacted Jeannie Barnaby at the Hand office to see if any of her clients could do the same. The Men's Shed was able to supply a total of 323 ornaments to Country Meadows and the Hand office, and another 40 to the Brookdale School. Neepawa hoping for provincial support on fire department equipment upgrades. The town of Neepawa has finalized its wish list to the province's Fire and Protection Grant Program. On Tuesday, November 17th, Town Council approved a list of 8 items assembled by administration as necessities for the continued improvement of local fire services. The specific items the town will be looking for support in purchasing include the following: a dryer cabinet for firefighters' clothing and equipment. This cabinet is specifically designed to dry both the inside and outside of heavy-duty coveralls and turnout or bunker gear. Also, a thermal imaging camera. This type of equipment captures and creates an image of an object using infrared radiation. The created image represents the temperature of the object. While the town already owns one of those types of cameras, it is an older model and due for replacement with a more advanced piece of technology. A hydraulic rescue tool, commonly known as the Jaws of Life. The Neepawa Fire Department does own one of these rescue tools, but would like to have a second set on standby if necessary. A hose tester, used as a mechanism to check fire hoses to see if they remain within proper operational protocols. A water rescue craft, designed for small or shallow water operations. This type of specialty boat includes float bags, rescue tethers, and reaching devices. A mobile response side-by-side trailer, which can act as a remote command station. Wildland coveralls, an item of safety clothing which is used for smaller, less dangerous fire department operations such as controlled burns. A PPV, which is a positive pressure ventilation supervac. This device is a large fan used to remove heat and products of combustion from a structure on a fire scene. In early October, the Manitoba government created a one-time $5 million fund to provide fire protection grants to support fire protection and emergency response across the province. The grant is open to municipalities and Northern Affairs communities and will support projects or activities that improve fire protection or emergency response in those communities or mutual aid districts. Eligible fire protection projects include items such as preparedness planning, training, and safety equipment. A new respiratory clinic opens in Neepawa. A new respiratory clinic is opening on the first floor of the old co-op building at 342 Mountain Avenue in Neepawa as of November the 23rd. Prairie Mountain Health announced this on Thursday, November 19th. The clinic, which started booking appointments as of Friday, November the 20th, is for patients experiencing symptoms like a sore throat, runny nose, earache, cough, and congestion, but who want to see a doctor but don't think they need to visit the emergency room. It will be staffed by a physician and a nurse and will be open on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 9 a.m. until noon. Patients must have an appointment as it is not a walk-in clinic. This clinic will not refill prescriptions or provide flu shots. Patients will need to wear a mask and bring their Manitoba Health card to register. The same building will also be performing appointment-only COVID-19 testing from 12:30 till 3 p.m. on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. To make an appointment at the respiratory clinic or to get a COVID test, call 204-447-4404. That's 204-447-4404. There are now 4 respiratory clinics active in Prairie Mountain Health in Brandon, Dauphin, Swan River, and now Neepawa. Neepawa Rotary at work during COVID-19. The COVID-19 pandemic has certainly affected all of our lives, and this certainly includes the functions of the Neepawa Rotary Club. Despite these extreme challenges, the Rotary Club has managed to complete local activities such as the highway cleanup, the restaining of the observation decks and benches at Rotary Park, and financial support towards the operations of the Neepawa Community Ministry Center. Rotary members are currently busy getting ready for our annual Rotary auction, the major fundraiser for the club. Funds raised from the auction will help the club support the schools within the Neepawa area, acquire technologies to assist in student learning during the pandemic. In addition, funds raised will allow the club to support many other communities' needs. The efforts of our local members allows the Neepawa Rotary Club to support the efforts of Rotary International. This year, the club is donating $1,500 towards the fight against polio. The year 2020 saw the eradication of polio throughout the African continent. Afghanistan and Pakistan remain the only 2 countries in the world to still have this crippling disease affect its children. The efforts of Rotary International continues towards the total eradication of polio worldwide. The Neepawa Rotary Club is also providing support towards Shelter Box Canada. Shelter Box Canada is dedicated to helping ensure no family is left without shelter after natural disaster or conflict by going where others can't or won't. The sturdy green boxes are filled with the family-sized tent, solar lights, water storage, and purification equipment, thermal blankets, cooking utensils, and basic food supplies. The efforts of Shelter Box Canada are crucial during times such as what is currently being experienced in the Philippines, where a series of typhoons have ravaged the islands. One of the strongest supporters of Shelter Box Canada within the Neepawa Rotary Club was Mr. Roy McGilvery. The Neepawa Rotary Club is proud to announce that a $1,200 donation to the Shelter Box Canada will be made in the memory of Roy. Anyone wishing to provide support to Shelter Box Canada may do so at www.shelterboxcanada.org or through the Rotary Club of Neepawa, Box 1515, Neepawa, ROJ 1HO. Neepawa's name gets some national notoriety. A simple question from one of the Neepawa Junior A Hockey Club social media platforms recently generated a fair amount of response from across Canada. The club, still officially known as the Neepawa Natives, put out a survey for their fans on their preference for a new moniker for the franchise. In the summer, the team announced that it will discontinue the use of the name Natives in the future as part of its team identity and branding. The decision follows similar announcements made by the NFL's Washington Redskins and the CFL's Edmonton Eskimos. The survey included 4 potential monikers: Neepawa Knights, or Generals, or Brewers, or Pioneers. It also included an open option for people to submit their own suggestions. Neepawa head coach and general manager Ken Pearson said the survey really took on a life of its own. He said, "We had people from all over Canada who actually signed in on the survey and offered their thoughts on the matter. We had about 428 people to participate when it was all said and done. Considering we had the survey up for only a couple of days, that was an impressive level of participation. We had former players involved, people who used to live in Neepawa, who now live elsewhere, and just people who wanted to support the team's efforts on this. It was really helpful, and we received a lot of good information and suggestions back. The participation numbers may have been aided by the amount of media who caught wind of the survey and placed a spotlight upon it. Radio stations in Winnipeg, Brandon, and Portage la Prairie talked about the survey on air. As well, the Winnipeg Free Press wrote an article on the survey in its Friday, November 20th edition. As for suggested names, Pearson wouldn't give away any favorites at this time. He did note, however, that there were some very good options brought forward to go along with the 4 previously listed. An official announcement on the new team name will likely be made public at the end of the MJHL season this year. A pair of track and field athletes with strong roots in Neepawa have been honored by Athletics Manitoba. Recently, Dax Turner won the Under-20 Male Athlete of the Year award. He was also named the co-winner of the top provincial male jumper. Lara Dembo, meanwhile, was honored with the Under-18 Female Athlete of the Year award and the top female jumper prize. Although the 2020 track and field season was shortened due to COVID-19, both athletes put up outstanding results. Turner finished the year ranked first provincially in the high jump and triple jump categories. Nationally, he was ranked second in the triple jump and third in the high jump. As for Dembo, she was ranked first provincially in the high jump, triple jump, and 600 meters. On a national level, she was ranked first in the high jump. And here is a picture of Robert Bob Hunter as it appears inside the new Neepawa Sports Hall of Fame. Hunter's remarkable shooting ability garnered him national recognition in the early years of the 20th century. Robert Hunter migrated from Lakelet, Ontario in 1878 with his father Walter and mother Mary and 4 siblings. Just before leaving Ontario, a friend and neighbor gave them a gun and said, "Young Bob should be able to keep you in meat for the winter with that." Bob, who is well remembered for his remarkable shooting and sporting ability, became a master of the art. He traveled to national shoots and acquired many trophies, medals, and awards. There are lots of stories about Bob's ability, but one goes that if there was a turkey shoot, target shooting competition with turkeys as prizes, if there was a turkey shoot competitors would not enter if Bob was entered. So organizers would ask him not to submit his name until the last minute so that there would be more participation. But Bob usually won. He married Janet Campbell and they had 2 children, Mary Crookshanks and Weldon. The house that they lived in on the north side of Highway 16 east of Neepawa is still owned by his brother George's grandchild. In this week's banner and press, we have a full page showing the Rotary online auction that is going to be held December the 3rd to the 10th. It is their major fundraiser of the year. So make sure you check this out. For information updates and to see how to register and bid, visit our website at neepawarotary.weebly.com, neepawarotary.weebly.com. Proceeds will assist Neepawa and area schools upgrade remote learning technologies along with other community and international projects. For more information and updated reports, watch our nightly TV show at 8 p.m. on NACTV beginning December the 20th. And if you don't have a computer, tablet, or smartphone, you can make a one-time proxy bid by phoning Ivan Trail at 204-476-5165 on December 2nd or December 3rd from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now, from Gladwin Scott in Carberry. He has a article about a young lady named Cassie Schrar, age 17, a Carberry grade 12 honors student, 89%, who has recently agreed to an academic and athletic scholarship to play softball for the Division II DUville Saints in Buffalo, New York. Her coach in Buffalo is Megan Asham, who was one of her mentors when the Winnipeg Magic won the Western Canada Under-16 Championship in Biggar, Saskatchewan. During the last 2 winters, Cassie has attended the Winnipeg Softball Academy on Saturdays, directed by Softball Canada officials, where she concentrated on hitting and position play skills. However, her main forte is pitching, where she is a workhorse, handling the mound duties for several innings each day. Her pitching repertoire includes a fastball, drop ball, riser, and her changeup is outstanding, according to coaches Megan and Farron Asham. She plans to play for the Westman Magic Under-19 team in the 2021 Manitoba Super League. Cassie and partner Katie Mendel won the Zone Ladies Doubles Badminton banner when they were in grade 10. She played with the Cougars volleyball squad, who captured the Zone banner in 2019. Musically, she played the flute in grades 7 to 11 for the collegiate bands. Her main goal for several years has been to continue her education and play softball in the States, with physical therapy as an ultimate target. Congratulations and best wishes for continued success, Cassie. Here and there, the Memory Tree of Lights campaign is open until December the 10th. For each $10 donated, a light will be added to the Christmas tree located at the corner of Main Street and 3rd Avenue. Donation envelopes can be obtained at BMO, Westoba Credit Union, and the town office. This year, the proceeds will be donated to the Art Sear Playground Fund. Local developer and realtor Ruben Hoffman plans to build a duplex, possibly for seniors, in the summer of 2021. He has purchased and demolished a couple of buildings located between the Collegiate and Spud City Food Mart. Building costs, especially lumber, have skyrocketed. Congratulations to Ruben Hoffman on his initiative. Brian Palliser has stated stupidity has its consequences in response to the anti-mask protesters in Steinbach on November the 14th. A good friend is frustrated about the situation as his brother-in-law was sick with COVID-19 in the Steinbach Hospital, which has been swamped with patients. The nurses are stressed out and crying as they serve folks in their cars while the STARS helicopter flew overflow patients to St. Boniface Hospital in Brandon. Meanwhile, LaBroquerie Reeve Louis Weiss was the guest speaker for the anti-mask protest, and he was fined $1,296. At the request of provincial health officials, Carberry principals Dana Galatiak and Bruce McCallum sent home letters November the 10th, to parents with K-6 students to identify who would be classified as essential workers in case schools were placed in the red zone. Congratulations to retired Wawanesa teacher Blake North, who won the Daily Grand Lottery of $500,000 in late October. The winning ticket was purchased at Wawanesa Foods on the afternoon of the draw. He had a choice of $25,000 a year for life or $500,000. Blake, who had previously won $50,000, was hired in Wawanesa in 1976 and retired after 35 years in 2011. His last 8 years were spent as the apprenticeship coordinator for Southwest Manitoba, including Beautiful Plains. The demolition of the old Wascata Arena is underway. Their senior hockey team, the Comets, had a roster which included many big players such as Jim Truan, Jim Spence, and the Adams brothers, Wayne and Don. Their ice surface was small, and they were very tough to beat. Pat Andrews, an excellent hockey player and former Neepawa principal, used to describe a game in Wascata as like playing in a forest of trees. Wascata already has a new skating and curling rink. The Carberry Elks made a financial presentation to the Lance and Jackie Burton family recently to help with the financial burden imposed upon them when their 6-year-old daughter Madison was diagnosed with a brain tumor and needed immediate surgery. The surgery was a success and the tumor was diagnosed as benign, much to the relief of the family. Now, the Spruce Plains RCMP report. During the week of November 16th to the 22nd, Spruce Plains RCMP dealt with 34 police activities. November the 16th, RCMP responded to a report of an assault in the town of Neepawa, and charges have been laid. Police conducted a COVID compliance check on a Neepawa resident who was found to be abiding by the quarantine regulations. Police responded to a disturbance at a residence in the municipality of West Lake Gladstone and assisted an emotionally disturbed person in the town of Minnedosa. November 17th, RCMP conducted various proactive traffic enforcement, engaging with several motorists. November 18th, RCMP received a report of fraud in the municipality of Glenella Lansdowne. The matter is still under investigation. Police responded to 2 motor vehicle versus deer collisions in the RM of Minto O'Donnell and in the municipality of West Lake Gladstone. Police also received reports of mischief in the town of Minnedosa, loose pigs on the highway, and suspected trespassing, both in the RM of Minto O'Donnell. November 19th, RCMP responded to an assault in the municipality of Glenella Lansdowne. The matter is still under investigation. Police received a report of a break-and-enter in the municipality of West Lake Gladstone and a suspected impaired driver in the town of Gladstone. November 20th, RCMP responded to a disturbance at a residence in Minnedosa, and the matter is still under investigation. Police received a report of a suspicious vehicle in the RM of North Cypress Langford, which was investigated and resolved. Police received another suspicious vehicle report in the RM of Oakview. Police attended and found a stranded motorist who had run out of gas overnight. Fuel was brought to the driver, who then continued on their way. November 21st, RCMP responded to 2 reports of assault in Minnedosa. Both matters are still being investigated. November 22nd, RCMP responded to a report of a stranded hitchhiker in the RM of Minto O'Donnell. He was gone when members arrived. RCMP conducted 12 traffic enforcement actions during this reporting period. If you have any information about these crimes or any other crimes, please contact your local RCMP office or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the Neepawa Minnedosa RCMP detachments advise they will be limiting front counter services at the detachments until further notice. We request that you contact each detachment at 204-476-7340 in Neepawa or in Minnedosa, 204-867-2916 to inquire about criminal record checks or to file a report. Leave a message if needed and it will be checked the following business day. Do not leave a message if you require immediate police assistance. You must dial in Neepawa 204-476-7338, Minnedosa 204-867-2751 or 911 to have a police officer respond to you promptly. And that is it for today's Neepawa Banner and Press. We'll see you next week.